So if you've ever felt completely stuck trying to learn a language, this is for you. We are going to ditch the old school grammar drills and those super expensive apps. Instead, we're going to build a blueprint, a real plan based on linguistics. Let's get right into it.
First things first, we have to bust a huge myth. This idea that you're too old or too busy, or that you just don't have the language gene. It's probably the most demotivating idea out there. But here's the truth. As an adult, you have cognitive advantages that kids don't even have yet. The real secret is just knowing how to use them.
And this is probably the most important mindset shift you can make. See, most of us were taught languages in school like it was a history class, all memorization and grammar tables. That is not how our brains are designed to work. We're talking about acquiring a skill, just like learning to swim or play the guitar. Language is a biological system you have to get a feel for, not some math problem you can solve with a memorized formula. So here's our game plan. It's broken down into a few really key phases. We'll kick things off with the acquisition mindset. Then we'll get practical with phase 1, the sound check. After that, we build the structural foundation, add all the vocabulary with comprehensible input, and finally, learn to actually use it with active output. And at the end, we'll wrap it all up with your day 1 commitment. Okay, so before we jump into the how-to stuff, let's really lock in the what. This whole approach is built on a few core principles that come straight from the field of second language acquisition.
The single most important idea here is Stephen Krashen's theory of comprehensible input. You'll see it written as I+1. All this means is that you acquire language not by studying grammar rules, but by understanding messages through listening and reading that are just a tiny bit beyond what you already know. This is the engine. This is what drives the whole process. And you know what the best part is? This has nothing to do with expensive software or fancy tutors. This powerful, evidence-based method is practically free. Seriously, every single tool we're going to talk about today costs between $0 and maybe $10. This is all about being resourceful, not rich. The other huge piece of this mindset is consistency. We're not talking about cramming for 8 hours on a Sunday. No way. This is all about creating a small, sustainable habit that you can do every single day. 30 to 60 minutes every day is infinitely more effective than binging once a week.
All right, let's get into our first actionable phase. Now, this is probably the single most overlooked step for beginners, but from a linguist's point of view, it is absolutely non-negotiable. So here's why this is so critical. Your brain, well, it's kind of lazy. When it hears a new, unfamiliar sound, it's just going to try to cram it into the closest sound category it already knows from English. So you have to consciously, deliberately build new categories for these sounds. That's why your entire first week is just listening to and practicing the unique sounds of the language. No vocabulary, no grammar, just sounds. Let me give you a quick example. To an untrained English-speaking ear, that single R in the Spanish word pero can sound a lot like the D sound in buddy. But if you look at the IPA symbols, you can see they're completely different sounds, made in totally different parts of the mouth. If you don't train your ear and your mouth to nail this distinction from day 1, you're literally building your entire language journey on a faulty foundation.
So, the action item here? It's simple and it's totally free. Just go to YouTube and search for something like Your Language Phonology or IPA for your language. Spend a whole week just getting these sounds right. And remember, you're learning the sounds of the alphabet, not the names of the letters. Big difference.
Okay, once you've actually tuned your ears to the new sounds of the language, it's time to build the skeleton, that underlying structure that's going to hold everything else together.
Now listen, we are not memorizing grammar charts here. The goal is to intuitively understand the language's internal logic. We're going to do this by looking at its morphology, how it builds words, and its syntax, which is just its normal word order. The whole point is to get a feel for the patterns so you can start creating sentences on your own, not just repeating phrases you memorized. And for this, there is no better tool out there, and I mean free or paid, than Language Transfer. It's an audio course that just masterfully deconstructs languages. It uses what you already know in English as a bridge to your new language. It actually teaches you to think in the language, building sentences up piece by piece. It's an absolute game changer. I can't recommend it enough. So, you've got the sounds down and you've built the skeleton. Now it's time for what's going to be the longest and most important phase of your journey, adding the flesh, by just flooding your brain with input that you can actually understand. This is where we bring back Krashen's big idea. The main goal right now is to just consume as much of the language as you possibly can. But here's the trick. It has to be comprehensible. And how do you do that? You find content that comes with a translation or subtitles, so you can listen or read and actually understand the message, even if you don't know every single word yet. And there are so many amazing tools for this. Blink is fantastic for reading and picking up new vocabulary. The Easy Languages channel on YouTube? It's incredible. Real street interviews with dual subtitles, perfect for hearing how people actually talk. And seriously, don't sleep on children's shows. The simple vocabulary and really clear visuals makes them perfect comprehensible input when you're just starting out.
Okay, you've spent a ton of time taking the language in. Now it's time to activate it. We've got to build the nervous system, those connections that let you actually use the language spontaneously.
Now, while input is king, output, actually trying to speak or write, forces your brain to switch from just passively recognizing words to actively retrieving them. It's that process of trying to speak that suddenly reveals the gaps in your knowledge and really solidifies all those connections. And the great thing is, you don't even need a conversation partner to get started. There are 2 super effective, low-pressure techniques you can start today. The first is shadowing. This is where you listen to a native speaker, pause the audio, and repeat exactly what they said, trying to mimic their intonation and rhythm. The other is self-talk. You just narrate your day. I am making coffee. I am walking to the car. It might feel silly at first, but trust me, it really, really works.
And then, when you feel ready to talk to a real person, there are free apps like HelloTalk and Tandem that are perfect for this. They connect you with native speakers who want to learn English, so you help them a bit with English and they help you with your target language. It's a win-win.
So, we've covered the mindset and all 4 phases: sounds, structure, input, and output. Now let's talk about what this actually means for you, starting today. If you take only one thing away from all this, let it be this. The secret to acquiring a language isn't about being a genius or having some special talent. It's not about intensity or cramming for hours. It is 100% about small, consistent, daily effort. I promise you, 30 minutes every single day will beat 5 hours once a week, every single time. That's the commitment.
So really, the only question left is, what language are you going to apply this to? Let's make a public commitment. Drop a comment below and tell all of us which language you're starting with this method today. Good luck and happy learning.